8.1, adding and subtracting polynomials, which will be pretty much combining like terms. All right, we just finished a unit on exponents, and so we're going to be using those rules to continue with what we're going to be doing now. A monomial, and in this section, let me just say that some of the terminology is important. It's not a whole lot of it, but you do need to know that a monomial is a real number, a variable, or a product of both. So it could be 2, or an x, or 2x. Mono means one. So in math, it will be one term. Some examples of this is the number 18, the letter z, negative 4x squared, that's all one term. 2.5xy cubed is all one term, or a divided by 3. Okay? The exponents in a monomial must be whole numbers. In other words, we cannot have a negative exponent, and you cannot have 0. So variables cannot be in the denominator. So when we had before x to the negative 2, you know that made it a small number, a fraction, and so that was an 1 over x squared. Well, x cannot be in the denominator to be considered a monomial. So anything with a variable on the bottom of a fraction is not a monomial. Okay? All right, the degree of monomials is the sum of the exponents of the variables. So for instance, they give you a monomial 8xy4. It has a degree of 5. Well, you might say, well, where is that coming from? Well, the x, let me get my pen. The x has a degree of 1, and the y has a degree of 4, so 1 plus 4 is 5. Negative 7 doesn't have any degrees, so it is a degree of 0. Y, there's 1, has a degree of 1. All right, polynomials are a monomial or a sum of monomials, okay? So if we had 8x and we had plus 2y, that is a polynomial. It could also be 8x minus 2y, because technically speaking that's plus a negative. So either one of these is still a polynomial. A degree of that polynomial. Now, this is a little bit different from the degree of a monomial. The degree of polynomials is the greatest degree of any term in that polynomial. For example, you must find all the degrees of the monomials in each part to decide what the degree of the whole thing is. So in my example, it says 3a to the third, x to the second, minus 4a to the first. Remember, there's nothing there, it's a 1. X to the fifth plus 9a squared x to the first. You have to look at each individual monomial and count up its degree. So this monomial, the degree would be 3 plus 2, which is 5. This monomial would be 1 plus 5, which is 6. This monomial will be 2 plus 1, which is 3. So the highest degree term is going to be the degree of the whole thing. So that means that this one would be a degree of 6. All right? Standard form means the degree of the terms decrease from left to right. In other words, from left to right, it's getting from biggest to smallest, or getting smaller. Based on the degree of the x variable only. Okay, so when we're doing standard form, it's based on the x variable only. So if we had 8x5, 9y squared, 8x4 plus 7x. Okay? You're going to put that in descending order. You have to base it on the x's. Well, that's a degree of 1. This is a degree of 4. This does not have an x. That means it's almost like 0. I mean, this has a degree of 5. So if you were going to write it in standard form, you would have to write this one, 8x5. And then the next one was 8x4 The last one was 7x plus 9y squared. Okay? That would be in standard form, based on just the x values. If it doesn't have one, it goes in the back end. A binomial is two monomials, either added or subtracted together. Think of the prefix here, bi, as in a bicycle. Bicycle has two wheels. Binomial has two parts. Trinomial has three monomials that are added or subtracted. Tri for the prefix 3. Think tricycle, which has 3 wheels. Okay, mono means 1, bi means 2, tri means 3. Alright, simplifying polynomials, you're going to combine like terms. And I like to talk about this as having the same last name. Okay, so you look at your variables that have the same last name. This is like x squared, that's like Mr. Smith. XY is like Mr. Jones. One without any X would be like Mr. Pitt. Okay, so this Mr. Smith goes with another Mr. Smith. That one would be this one right here. Okay, see the same last name. Same last name has to be exactly. These other ones do not have the same last name and they cannot be combined with this one. So you would put both of those like terms together. That would be 3x squared. Take away a 1x squared, leaves you with 2x squared. And then you put the rest of it together with that. There's nothing else you can combine other than make it into one sentence. So it would be plus xy minus 7. Alright? So think of it as same last names. Those you want to combine. Okay? Alright, algebraic expression. An algebraic expression is anything that doesn't have an equal sign in it. It's two or more terms with or without parentheses. So you're going to be using parentheses to group things together, and you may add them or subtract them, but there won't be an equal sign in the problem to begin with. Because what all that means is, if it says expression, that means you're going to simplify only. You will not have like x is 2. Okay, it'll be x plus 3. That's your answer. It's not anything that you can solve. It's just a simplifying process only. So in the problem that I've got here, where we're doing addition, we have 4x squared plus 3x minus 9, all that, added to, notice there's an addition in between the parentheses, 2x squared minus 5x minus 3. When you are doing this and there's an addition in between, you're just combining same last names. So I have a x squared here and I have an x squared here, so that makes a grand total of 6x squared. I have a 3x here and a negative 5x. Remember that sign is whatever's in front of that number, that's its sign. So plus 3 minus 5 is a negative 2x. And then negative 9 plus a negative 3 makes negative 12. Okay, combining like terms with more complicated last names. That's all we're doing. Okay, subtraction is the same way. And you know, with subtraction, I like to do more of addition because you guys sometimes get confused with those signs. So, to avoid issues with signs, when we do subtraction, where there is a minus in between the two sets of parentheses, I want you to change that subtraction right there to addition. Okay, when you change to addition, however, you have to do one more step, and that's change all your signs of your terms in the following parentheses. So where it's right now a positive 7, it will now become negative 7. Where it's a negative 5 right now, it becomes a positive 5. And where it's a positive 8, it will now become negative. It is most important that once you change the sign, you change every sign in the parentheses following. Otherwise, you will get the question wrong. So then you look for your same last names, just like you did up here. This is a 7y squared, and another subtract 7y squared. Those go away. 7 minus 7 is gone. There's no y squares. Adding 5 and adding 5 make 10. Minus 3y and minus an 8y is a total of a negative 11y. And if you want to put it in descending order or decreasing exponential order, you would have negative 11y plus 10. Okay? So when you have a subtraction in between parentheses, change it to plus and change all the signs after it. And this little parenthesis right here stops that happening further. Okay, so it only goes to there and then it stops it. Okay, so if it's addition, you don't have to do that. You just combine like terms. All right, we will practice this in class, and I think you'll have a good time with this as long as you remember to look for those same last names. See me if you have any questions. See you in class.